USSR. In case the Americans would launch a ballistic missile, its trajectory would look approximately like this. For the rockets, this path will take about from 20 to 30 minutes to reach the Soviet soil. So let's say the Soviets are using the ordinary radar, one of those that they have plenty of. Its line of sight would look approximately like this. So this point right here, the moment when it gets detected, is also the same moment when they only have, well, 1 to 3 minutes max left to react. And for such a situation, that's not that big amount of time for proper reaction, right? This is why the Soviet engineers were challenged with a task to come up with a system that would be somehow able to peek beyond the horizon. And they actually managed. What helped them was this study that was performed in the 50s that concluded that it is actually possible to reflect radio signals from the ionosphere. So you can't actually bend a radio signal, but you can reflect it from somewhere. So the ionosphere is one of the highest parts of the atmosphere. It's situated on the altitude of about 60 kilometers and above. So let's say that here is our ionosphere. And here's our radar. Not this one, because this one only worked as a receiver, and the one that worked as an emitter is situated 57 kilometers in that direction. So, what it does, it shoots its signal up into the sky, which then reflects from the ionosphere, which then reflects from the surface of the Earth, from the ionosphere, Earth, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it is able to cover the entire globe with its signal. So, well, this is why this station is called duga, the arc, because, well, this is how its signal works. And well, this is what they need the Krug station for. So Krug is situated 2 kilometers in that direction, and it is used to scan the ionosphere because its properties are constantly changing. So the Krug gathers this information, sends it over to Lubitsch 1. Lubitsch 1 calculates the needed frequency, and then it emits the signal, and then the Duga 1 catches it. So, well, this is basically how it works. So this was cutting-edge technology back then. Well, even the Americans didn't have anything like this back in those times. So, since it was so sophisticated, it wasn't only used as a nuclear shield. It was only used as sort of the eyes of the Soviet Union. They could easily see basically any moving object anywhere on Earth. It was impossible to tell what was its shape, what was its size, and what exactly was it, but you could clearly tell that there was something in its way. So it used to detect rockets by the burning trace that they are leaving behind them. They are called the ionizing trace. Maybe you've seen those in the SpaceX's rocket launches. And they used to detect moving structures by bouncing the signal from their surface. So these are the basics of sonar. They just send the signal, and when it hits something, it bounces from it, and this is how you know that there is something in your way. So it's not exactly possible to tell what it is, but you can clearly tell that there's something in the way, and you can tell the speed with which this object is moving. Despite the fact that it was, well, so sophisticated, the signals that were received by these radars were supposed to be deciphered by a live human being. You could not trust this task to a machine because of one very simple but very strict instruction. In case the Soviets detect that there is a nuclear strike launched towards them, they counter-strike. Simple as that. And And this is how this interesting story came to be. The story involved a person called Vyacheslav Petrov. So Petrov was sitting in a secret military bunker one day somewhere in Moscow, deciphering the signals received from these radars. And at some point, an alarm went off, which meant that there was a nuclear strike headed towards the Soviet Union. But Petrov realized intuitively that this was probably some sort of mistake, because it was very unlikely for the Americans to strike at that point. So he decided on his own not to inform the authorities about what happened. And, well, basically this is how a single person single-handedly saved the entire world from the World War III. Yes. Well, nevertheless, he was never acknowledged as a hero in the Soviet Union because he was considered to be unreliable because he disobeyed a very strict order. He was even fired from his position. He was only acknowledged after the Soviet Union fell apart. Some of these European countries have granted him some money, and as far as I know, there is even a monument dedicated to him somewhere in the United States.
Sorry, and what caused the...
Yes, so what it mistook for the ionizing trace of the rocket was simply a reflection of sunlight from the cloud.
But
So,
that's what the machine...
yes. Yes, so they were pretty sensitive, as you can tell. By the way, no, this wasn't done by the duga. The duga only confirmed his theory to be correct.